You walk into the room, exchange pleasantries, shake hands, make small talk. The interaction lasts 30 seconds. You think you revealed nothing. You controlled the narrative. You managed the impression. You performed perfectly. Then you notice him watching from the corner. He barely spoke, barely engaged, yet somehow you feel exposed. Like he just read the entire source code of your personality while you were busy managing the user interface. And you're right. Within those 30 seconds, he decoded more about you than most people learn in 30 conversations. Not through magic, through observation, unfiltered by social performance. Before we dissect what he's reading, understand why he can read it. Most people don't observe others. They perform for others while calculating how others are perceiving their performance. Their attention is split between managing their own image and predicting social responses. They're not present. They're performing and monitoring the performance. The Sigma male isn't performing anything. His cognitive bandwidth that most people waste on impression management is entirely available for observation. He's watching, actually watching. And when someone is actually watching while you're busy performing, they see everything you think you're hiding. The first thing he knows within seconds is your confidence level. Not the performed confidence, the actual confidence. And he knows it's not from your words or your posture or your handshake. It's from micro-corrections. Confident people move through space without adjustment. They speak without vocal hedging. They make eye contact without calculation. Insecure people constantly micro-adjust. They modify tone mid-sentence. They shift posture seeking optimal positioning. They break eye contact a fraction too soon or hold it a fraction too long. These micro-adjustments are invisible to people not watching closely. But he's watching closely. And micro-adjustments tell him everything. You're performing confidence while feeling insecure. And the performance gap reveals the insecurity more clearly than any overt signal could. Here's what he's reading from your first words. Most people think they control what they communicate through word choice. But words are the least informative channel. He's listening for what you're not saying, for the topics you avoid, for the qualifiers you add, for the statements you soften with maybe or kind of or I think. Each qualifier is a flag marking territory you're uncertain about. Each topic avoided is a boundary protecting something vulnerable. Each elaboration beyond necessity is compensation for feeling the initial statement wasn't sufficient. You're giving him a complete map of your insecurities through what you choose not to say directly and what you over-explain to ensure he understands. Within seconds, he knows whether you need validation. This one's easy. People who need validation seek it constantly through microbids. They make statements designed to prompt acknowledgement. They tell stories structured to generate impressed responses. They name drop or achievement drop casually, watching for recognition. They ask questions designed to create opportunities to talk about themselves. The Sigma male doesn't respond to these bids the way you expect. He doesn't validate. He doesn't express impressed. He just observes. And your response to his non-response tells him how desperately you need the validation he's withholding. The more you escalate your bids, the more obvious your need becomes. He knows your relationship to status within the first exchange. Status-conscious people position themselves immediately. They establish credentials. They reference connections. They drop markers of where they sit in hierarchies. They're constantly orienting you to their position. Status indifferent people just exist. They don't announce credentials unprompted. They don't position themselves hierarchically. They interact as equals regardless of actual status differences. Your immediate behavior tells him whether you see the world as hierarchical and where you think you sit. And if you're trying to establish high status, he knows you're insecure about your actual status. Secure, high-status people don't announce it. It's simply evident. Announcing is compensating. Let me show you what he reads from your questions. Most people think questions are neutral information gathering. They're not. Questions reveal what you care about. What you ask about first reveals your priorities. If you ask what someone does for a living immediately, you prioritize status and economic positioning. If you ask where they're from, you're categorizing by geography and likely making assumptions about culture or class. If you ask about family, you're traditional and relationship focused. If you ask about interests, you're seeking connection points. The Sigma male catalogs your question sequence. It's a hierarchy of values. You're showing him exactly what matters to you in the order you inquire about it. Within seconds, he knows whether you're authentic or performing. Authentic people have slight inconsistencies. Performed people are too smooth. Real humans contradict themselves occasionally, have verbal tics, hesitate, correct themselves. Performed personas are rehearsed. They're consistent to the point of being unnaturally polished. The Sigma male is listening for the rough edges. If you're too smooth, too consistent, too rehearsed, he knows he's meeting your public relations department, not you. And meeting someone's PR tells him they don't trust him with their actual self, which tells him their actual self is either unimpressive or wounded. Either way, he's learned you operate from strategic presentation rather than authentic being. He reads your energy management within the first minute. Some people spray energy indiscriminately. They're animated with everyone. They engage fully with strangers. They're on all the time. This tells him they get identity from external engagement. They need interaction to feel real. Other people conserve energy. They're present but measured. They don't perform enthusiasm they don't feel. This tells him they get identity internally. The Sigma male is reading which type you are. And if you're performing high energy that seems unsustainable, he knows you're compensating for something. Maybe low actual energy you're masking. Maybe social anxiety you're overriding. Maybe desperate need for approval you're feeding through forced enthusiasm. Here's what he knows from how you handle silence. Most people rush to fill it. Silence makes them uncomfortable. They interpret gaps in conversation as failures. So they talk, they explain, they elaborate. They keep the verbal stream flowing even when there's nothing substantive to say. The Sigma male lets silence exist, and your response to his silence tells him your comfort level with yourself. If you can sit in silence comfortably, you're self-contained. If you rush to fill it, you need external stimulation to avoid internal discomfort. Silence tolerance is self-possession measured in real time. And you're revealing your measurement by how quickly you break the quiet. He reads your need for control within seconds. Control-oriented people steer conversations. They redirect topics. They manage the interaction flow. They're uncomfortable when conversation goes directions they didn't plan. They recover quickly, but the recovery itself is visible to someone watching carefully. The Sigma male doesn't steer. He lets conversation flow organically. And if you keep trying to steer, if you keep redirecting back to comfortable territories, if you manage the interaction like a project, he knows you need control because you fear what emerges organically. And fearing organic emergence tells him you don't trust yourself to handle unpredictability, which means you operate from scripts rather than presence. Let me take you into the body language he's reading, not the obvious stuff. Everyone knows about crossed arms and eye contact. He's reading the subtle positioning, how you orient your body relative to his, whether you angle toward doors or into the space, how much physical space you claim versus how much you minimize yourself into, whether your gestures are contained or expansive. Each of these reveals your relationship with space, and your relationship with space mirrors your relationship with life. Do you take up room or apologize for your presence? Do you expand into opportunities or contract from potential judgment? Your body answers these questions before your mouth opens. He knows your attachment style from how you relate to him specifically. Anxious attachment. People try to establish connection rapidly. They seek commonalities. They mirror aggressively. They create intimacy faster than the situation warrants. Avoidant people maintain careful distance. They're friendly but bounded. They give minimal information. They deflect personal questions. Secure people are comfortable with natural pacing. They're neither rushing connection nor preventing it. The Sigma male presents as neutral stimulus. Your response to his neutrality reveals whether you're pushing toward connection, pulling away from it, or allowing it to develop naturally. Within seconds, he knows whether you're playing a role or being yourself. Role players have rehearsed responses. Their reactions are slightly delayed while they access the appropriate response from their repertoire. Authentic people react immediately. Their responses are sometimes imperfect, but they're real-time. The Sigma male watches response latency. Half a second delay before you laugh at something funny. Quarter-second delay before you respond to a question. These micro delays, are you accessing what you should do rather than doing what you naturally would do? And accessing rather than responding tells him you're operating from external programming rather than internal authenticity. Here's what he reads from what makes you uncomfortable. People reveal boundaries through micro-expressions when topics approach sensitive areas. The slight tension in jaw muscles. The subtle shift in breathing pattern. The quick glance away. Most people don't notice these because they're focused on their own performance. The Sigma male notices everything. When you flinch, even microscopically, he's cataloging what made you flinch. After several interactions, he's mapped your complete wound structure. He knows what you're protecting, what you're ashamed of, what you fear being exposed. Not because you told him, because you showed him through systematic avoidance and micro-reactions. He knows your intelligence within seconds, not from what you say, from how you process. Intelligent people ask better questions. They make unexpected connections. They grasp implications without having them spelled out. They can follow complex concepts without requesting simplification. Less intelligent people require more explanation. They miss implications. They ask surface questions. They process linearly rather than systemically. The Sigma male adjusts his communication based on what level of complexity you can track. And that adjustment tells you he's already assessed your processing capacity and found its limits. Let me show you what he reads from your relationship to him specifically. Some people treat everyone the same. Some people adjust behavior based on who they're with. If you're treating him differently than you treat others in the room, he notices. Are you more deferential? More challenging? More performative? More relaxed? The differential treatment reveals what you think of him, and what you think of him reveals what you value. If you defer, you value status and perceive him as high status. If you challenge, you perceive threat to your status. If you perform more, you're seeking his validation specifically. If you relax, you perceive him as safe or irrelevant. Within seconds, he knows your relationship to truth. Truth-oriented people speak precisely. They correct their own inaccuracies. They acknowledge when they don't know something. They're comfortable with uncertainty. Performance-oriented people speak impressively. They exaggerate subtly. They present opinions as facts. They're uncomfortable with not knowing. The Sigma male is tracking your relationship with accuracy versus impression. And your relationship with accuracy tells him whether you value being right or seeming right. Being right people are trustworthy. Seeming right people are managing image. And image managers are exhausting because you can never believe their presentation matches their reality. He reads your capacity for depth within the first exchange. Depth-capable people can shift from surface to substance seamlessly. They're comfortable with both small talk and meaningful conversation. They read social context and adjust appropriately. Depth-limited people stay surface level. They're uncomfortable when conversation goes deeper than pleasantries. They redirect to safe topics. They use humor to deflect substance. The Sigma male tests depth capacity by introducing a single substantive statement into surface conversation. Your response tells him whether you have access to depth or whether you're confined to surface interaction. Here's what he knows from your relationship to his attention. Some people need his attention. They position themselves to be noticed. They speak louder when he's present. They monitor whether he's listening. Other people are indifferent to his attention. They continue their activity regardless of whether he's engaged. This tells him whether you're approval-seeking or self-contained. And approval-seeking versus self-contained is one of the most important assessments he makes. Because approval seekers are predictable and manipulable. Self-contained people are neither. He's determining within seconds which category you occupy. Let me take you into the final reading. He knows whether you see him. Most people look at the Sigma male and see what they expect to see. They project their assumptions onto him. They interact with their projection rather than with him. But occasionally, someone actually sees him. They perceive past the surface. They recognize something beneath the quiet exterior. They interact with who he actually is rather than who they assume he is. This recognition is rare. When it happens, he knows immediately, because being seen feels different than being projected onto. And if you see him, he knows you possess perceptual depth that most people lack. You're observing rather than assuming, and observers recognize each other instantly. So within seconds of meeting you, the Sigma male knows your confidence level, your need for validation, your relationship to status, your values hierarchy, your authenticity level, your energy source, your comfort with yourself, your need for control, your attachment style, your intelligence, your relationship to truth, your depth capacity, and whether you're actually seeing him or just seeing your projection of him. He knows all this not through conversation, through observation. While you were managing your impression, he was reading your reality. While you were controlling your narrative, he was decoding your truth. And here's what makes this reading power so significant. He's not judging what he sees. He's just cataloging it. He's building a complete psychological profile, not to use against you, but to understand whether you're someone worth investing time in. Whether you're authentic enough to trust. Whether you're deep enough to engage. Whether you're self-aware enough to grow. He's reading you to determine if you're real, and if you are real, he'll engage. If you're performing, he'll remain cordial and distant, because he has no interest in relating to masks. He's already spent too much of his life in surface interactions. He's reading you within seconds to determine if you offer possibility of substance. Or, if you're just another performance, he'll politely endure and quickly forget. That's what Sigma males know about you within seconds. Not through supernatural perception, through the simple act of actually watching while you're busy performing, through being present while you're being strategic, through observing reality while you're managing appearances. He's not special. He's just paying attention. And when someone is actually paying attention in a world where everyone else is performing, they see everything. Everything you think you're hiding. Everything you don't know you're showing. Everything that's true about you beneath everything you want people to believe. And the most unsettling part? He's not using this information to manipulate you. He's using it to decide whether you're worth knowing, whether the person beneath the performance is someone he'd want to engage with, whether your authentic self, should you ever show it, would be interesting to him. He's reading you within seconds, not to control you, but to determine if you're controllable. Not to exploit you, but to see if you're exploitable. Not to judge you, but to decide if you're genuine. And genuine, in a world of performed identities, is the rarest quality that exists. He's looking for it. And within seconds, he knows whether you have it or whether you're just another well-rehearsed performance in a world full of actors.